ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Esteemed FaceTime with Leaders, an initiative by World Development Corporation. I am Faragzeb Khan, anchor at World Development Corporation. FaceTime with Leaders is a platform for industry titans to share their experiences, thoughts, ideas, and best practices in order to inspire one another and future leaders. In a nutshell, we attempt to encapsulate the multi-decadal learnings acquired by these industry leaders. We also hope that by conducting these FaceTime with Leaders interviews, we can bring together a global community of eminent personalities. By bringing together such visionaries on one platform, we hope to play a part in inspiring the lives of other leaders. Great learnings from great leaders undoubtedly assist everyone by identifying, nurturing, and using the trade secrets that are proven success formulas for many. And this is what we aim for with these sessions by making them a gathering of industry stalwarts and a knowledge-sharing community. We have one such healthcare sector giant on FaceTime with Leaders with us today, Dr. Sanjay Panicker. Hello, welcome, Doctor. We are glad to have you here today with us on FaceTime with Leaders.
Thank you. It was nice. You've given a wonderful intro about this particular program. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So let me give you a quick brief. So let me give you a quick brief about Dr. Sanjay Panicker. He is a luminary to have not only illuminated the field of homeopathy, but also set new standards for holistic well-being. With a career spanning over 2 decades, he has established himself as a distinguished practitioner and an influential figure in the healthcare industry. Apart from his contributory work roles in the field of homeopathy, he has also authored publications including Study of Dr. Douglas Borland's Children's Types and Their Utility in Clinical Practice and the Paediatric Repertory, adding a dimension of contributions to his vocation. He has also participated in spreading awareness and healthcare activities to underserved communities. So, Dr. Panicker, to begin with, could you let our viewers know in brief about your career journey so far?
Okay, my journey into homeopathy started actually when I was very small, when I was about in 7th standard. From that time onwards, I have been influenced by homeopathy. My mother was a homeopathic practitioner, and she used to give medicines to the people in the nearby vicinity and to my relatives and to my entire family. So we all were quite influenced by the way homeopathy was giving us results in the treatment of various diseases. I've seen very, very tough cases that she has dealt with, where even the patients were in a very critical condition and the the modern system of medicine was not able to deal with it. And she was able to handle these kind of cases with a good amount of success. And this inspired me to think of practicing homeopathy. Also, I had my mother's guru, one Dr. Ahmad in Kerala, who was a practitioner of homeopathy. He was also, those days, it was not, we didn't have too many colleges, and people used to learn from practice and from practical experience. So he used to practice a lot of systems of medicines like Ayurveda, Unani, homeopathy, and even Kalari, the martial arts in Kerala, where they have traditional healing systems. So he used to integrate all these systems, and that influenced me quite a lot. And I have seen that this integration has helped a lot of people. In diseases like snake bites in villages, where people used to often succumb to them, he used to be a life giver to those people. Also in various other conditions. My brother, who once consumed potassium permanganate, and he was kind of supposed to be taken to a hospital, and we didn't have a hospital for about 2 hours distance from our place. And at that time, this God-sent doctor rescued my brother with a stomach wash and various other medicines. My mother had tetanus, and she was also saved by him with certain homeopathic medicines like hypericum. During acute tetanus, it is very difficult to restore the health of a person. So that's how I got influenced, and with all this, I decided to take up homeopathy, and there's always been a dream to become a doctor. And after a particular age, like till teenage, I was not very serious actually about all this, though it was there in the back of my mind maybe. But after a particular age, when I realized that I need to do something, I need to have some kind of a purpose in my life, I happened to read Swami Vivekananda's book, and that's what actually influenced me so strongly that I felt that there is no point in having a life without a purpose. And then I decided to take up my passion of being a doctor, and my relatives and family supported me in this. And that's how I got into homeopathic system by joining Father Muller's Homeopathic College. And my entire 5 years was a very beautiful journey where I was impressed by the way the college was dealing with tough cases. And my teachers were amazing. And even today, I can say that they are the best that I have met in my life. I'm entirely indebted to them for whatever I am today. And after this particular thing, I was just waiting to come out of college to set up my practice. And actually, even before I could get my formal registration done, I started seeing patients because I just couldn't wait to practice and give the results to the people who are unhealthy or not feeling well.
Right.
So at that time, it was not the question of, it was never the question of earning money, but it was purely the desire to practice and see the success of homeopathy and see that the patients get better. It was a kind of a challenge. If somebody else can heal this particular disease, then why can't I? So keeping that kind of a zeal in my mind, I started my practice. But unfortunately, when I wanted to set up a formal practice, I didn't have enough financial backup because my dad was a heart patient and he lost his job. And so we didn't have enough financial backing to set up a clinic. So he said, I was almost, I always wanted to start a practice in Bangalore. And Bangalore was my dream city. And those days, if you know, in 97 and even before that, in the 90s, the Bangalore climate was too good. It used to be very cool and pleasant. I've never seen such a beautiful city. So I always wanted to come and settle in Bangalore. But unfortunately, I didn't have the financial backing. My father had a huge financial loss, and so we had to go one step back. I was almost at the verge of joining a health and sports company as a salesman. That's when my father interfered. Coincidentally, he came to Bangalore at the same time and he saw me. And I said, tomorrow I have a job opening and I'm going to join a job as a salesman. He was very upset with me. He said, I didn't make you to study homeopathy for all this. You need to set up your practice. Let's go to Kerala, whatever it is, we will set it up at any cost. Even at our home, we can set up the practice. And so initially we set up the practice at home. And then we went on to find a location, which was a kind of a beautiful location. It was a good location, but the building was kind of haunted and deserted. Then coincidentally, the owner of that place helped me to set it up and did not charge me any huge rent. He just charged me 300 rupees a month as the rent. And that was a great boon to me to set up a practice. We took furniture from home, put it up in the place, and with just 1,500 rupee worth medicine, I set up my practice. And from there, my journey began, wherein very soon, in a short span of time, I had almost 20 to 25 patients visiting me on a daily basis. In that area, there were no doctors for almost 10-kilometer radius. So obviously, people had to depend on some form of medicine. And so people used to come to me. I used to get all kind of cases, the most difficult kind of cases which we get, because in rural areas, it's a boon that a doctor goes and practices. His experience grows immensely. We used to have cardiac cases patients who collapse, and then you bring them to the doctor, the patients who are in very critical situation, and I had to deal with all these kind of cases. That helped me to grow my knowledge to a great deal. And at that time, I was just not satisfied with just one clinic. I somehow felt that I should spread my practice to other areas. And then I set up a clinic in another location. And so within a span of about 2 years, I had 3 clinics other than the practice at home. From there, my restlessness kept growing, and I always wanted to go to Bangalore. That thing was just not going out of my mind that I need to set up my practice in Bangalore. And then I got an opportunity wherein I got a job in Bangalore in a corporate. So there the salary was very less. I was earning, they offered me a salary of 5,000 rupees a month for a doctor at that time. That is in 2002, 2003. So, but then at that time itself, I was earning almost 20 to 25K, 25,000 in my practice. So the doctor who offered me the job said, how will you manage your finances if you give up your practice and then shift to Bangalore? Because moving to Bangalore means that I have to close all my 3 or 4 clinics that I was running. The 4th clinic was at home. So I had to close all that. So then I decided to hand it over to my relatives and friends who wanted to set up their practice, and then finally moved to Bangalore itself. I found a job in a corporate company, worked there for several years, gained more experience, and got to see a lot of critical cases, and then shifted to other corporates as a corporate trainer and guided other corporates in their business. And finally, in 2014, I decided to set up my own practice. So then by then I didn't have too much money at that time too. But then, of course, I wanted to set up a practice in Bangalore. So I sold my car and I decided to set it up into the practice. Then we took a property in Koramangala and set up my clinic there. And that's how my journey began. And in Koramangala, once I started my clinic, within 1.5 years, I had the second clinic coming up in Marathalli. And very soon I had doctors and staff working under me. And now we plan to expand to other locations. It's been 8 years with 2 years of COVID in between since I began this private practice in Bangalore. But now I plan to expand because expansion is the key so that we can reach out to more patients and heal patients across. Right now, we are having patients from abroad also because online consultation got triggered after COVID. So we had a huge number of patients coming up after COVID consulting us online. And with this digital media taking up its digital reach has increased so much that people are able to reach us from across the globe. In fact, we had a huge number of patients from Congo that I actually thought that we should set up a practice in Congo. But my family was a bit reluctant to send me to Africa to set up the practice. So we have not done that. But maybe in due course, we will set it up somewhere else.
It's really very great and indeed very interesting. And I'm sure you face very challenges, very much challenges in your career journey, but I'm sure you're just growing for better over the years. And we wish you all the best for the same.
Thank you. Thank you.
So your publications include works on children types and the Paediatric Repertory. Could you elaborate on the significance of these publications and how they have contributed to the field of homeopathy?
Okay, so this Dr. Douglas Borland is a very small book. It's a very small book, as small as A4 size, but may have a thickness of maybe about 50 pages or 100 pages. It's only as big as this. So, but then the contents of it is so precious. Every single line is so valuable in our practice. So I decided to work on that particular book, and I made a repertory of that particular book, which gave me a lot of insights into how to deal with a lot of cases. Because when he says this particular remedy has this particular symptom, very often, it actually means very often. If he says this rarely is a symptom seen in this particular type of patients, then it definitely we find in practice that it is very rare to find such a case. And so after this study, I also integrated all homeopathic books and made a pediatric. So I got quite interested in into pediatrics because of one of my teacher, Dr. Srinath Rao, who guided me. And then we set up, I wrote a book on pediatrics. The volume 1 has come out. I'm still working on the volume 2. And this book is a unique book because it has got pictorial representation of diseases, which is uncommon in homeopathic books. Usually you find this in the allopathic books like Davidson, where you have pictures of diseases with what actually is indicated. In homeopathy, we have a system where we understand the personality of the person. Like, for example, there are type A personalities, type B personalities, people who are very systematic, meticulous, organized. There are children who are very active, the children who are very sluggish, various types of children, right? So the personality of the child plays a role in identifying, selecting the remedy that we need to give to that particular child. Now, when you have a case of tonsillitis is a throat inflammation of the tonsil gland, which is there in the throat. So usually in allopathy, it is a painkiller, an anti-inflammatory, an antibiotic. This is usually the line of treatment. Maybe if there is a lot of inflammation, maybe an antihistamine also can be used in certain cases. But in homeopathy, it is not like that. It requires a little more deeper study and individualistic approach. There are a lot of remedies for tonsillitis, but to identify that, we need to see the symptom of that particular patient. Tonsils enlarged worse when swallowing liquids, the remedy is different. Tonsils are enlarged and the pain is worse when swallowing solids, the remedy is different. Now, when you see strange conditions, like rare conditions, like adenoids or follicular tonsillitis, as a student of homeopathy, very often doctors won't know what exactly it looks like, especially when you're a student and when you're studying in the initial years of your practice. You may not know what exactly that condition looks like. So here in this book, you have pictorial representation of those problems. So you get to know that this exactly is the condition. And so you know what are the remedies that we need to give to that. So this particular book is what I have written. And you can see that the remedy is pictorially represented so that it becomes easy for students to memorize and also for doctors and practitioners, because each remedy is put up in different pages in boxes. So you've got those key symptoms of the remedy in boxes like this. So it becomes easy for a person who's studying that particular remedy to identify what exactly that particular disease is. Now, when you say fluoric acid has got affinity for some particular site, its remedy has got an affinity, that picture will represent it. So those with a pictorial memory will not forget that particular image of that particular remedy or the disease. So that's the idea of this book. So we don't have any book like this in homeopathy right now. So it took me almost a few years I started this work when I was in my internship, and then I finished it 3-4 years later. But then I didn't get it into publication until recent. Now I decided that I'll make it publicly available. And so we brought a book like this. Now the second book, I'm still writing on it.
So, given your extensive educational and professional background in homeopathy, along a wide purview with dermatology and trichology, have you found any groundbreaking solutions for skin and hair health?
Yes. we are actually dealing with a lot of hair and skin problems. And 70% of our patients actually come from hair loss and skin related problems. So during this, my practice and having seen so many cases, I came across something called as a technique called as mesotherapy, which we have started integrating into our practice. I right now I'm dealing with a lot of hair loss cases where we are able to see results with homeopathy in stabilizing the condition and seeing that the baldness or the person going bald can be prevented from getting bald almost up to old age. Let's say till the lady reaches a menopause, or the male patient reaches his 45, 50 years or 50, 55 years. Till then, we are able to postpone that baldness. But if there is something in between, like let's say he gets a typhoid or he gets some illness or some hormonal issues in between, then of course the disease takes over. This is what we were doing initially, and that treatment used to take us almost a year or 2 years or 3 years to stabilize for a long term. Hair loss may reduce in 3 to 6 months or maybe even 2, 3 months. But the severity of the deterioration, we may be able to postpone with a course of about 2 years or maybe 3 years. Now, with this technique of mesotherapy, we have been able to produce stability and growth in just 2.5 months. So technology has actually helped us to take this ahead and see that the patients who used to feel so frustrated that they have to take medicines for 2 years and 3 years are now able to see the results of improved hair volume in just 2.5 months. Not that new roots come up with this, but the hair which is undergoing a shrinkage is provided with nutrition through this technique, and the hair gets back to its original thickness without using minoxidil. Minoxidil is the medicine for hair growth, but then here we are not using minoxidil, we're just using high protein serums, which nourishes the hair so that the hair gets back its volume. This is unlike the procedure which is done in the parlor. This is a little more medical technique with which we are able to do it. Same way, we have integrated this technique to do lipolysis. Lipolysis is breaking down fat. Now, this same technique can be used with fat burning serums, and we can actually burn down the fat for people. So, for example, if people have lumps of fat accumulated in various areas, you must have seen some people with lumps like lipoma, it is called, fat accumulation. So, we have started doing this technique where the results are very fast and we are able to see some reduction in the size of these lipomas. Lipoma means fat tumor, a growth of fat, accumulated fat. We are able to see that in a short duration, like 2.5 months or 5 months, the patient is much better. So this kind of innovation into medical field has given us a good mileage in treating this kind of cases. Yes. So that's how we are dealing with hair and skin problems. We have included techniques like mesotherapy, skin lightening techniques, along with homeopathic system, and we are getting excellent response in these cases.
That's really great, I must say. So throughout your career, you have been actively involved in rural health camps. Could you share some memorable experiences or challenges you have encountered while providing homeopathic care to underserved communities?
There are no major challenges except that we need to have manpower to do that. There was a time when there are a lot of patients and people who really want to do something for the world and for the society. And so they are ready to spend the money that is required to buy the medicines and distribute it and all that. But to get manpower who's willing to do that work of packing the medicines, distributing it, consulting the patients, this is the most difficult part. Now, when I went for one of the camp in Kotiur, Kelagam, we had about 350 doctors, 350 patients consulted by one doctor. And we had about 8 to 10 doctors who had attended that camp. So just imagine 350 doctors being consulted, patients being consulted by one doctor is very huge. Even we didn't have the manpower enough to deal with that. But there was one good thing, that we had sufficient number of case histories collected before the camp itself. Before the camp itself, we had interacted with the patients online because we knew the volumes are going to be huge. And then we collected all the data about their problems. We worked out on their cases before we actually went there. Otherwise, it would have been impossible if this technique was not integrated. It would have been impossible to see 350 cases in detail or in a single day. So for every doctor. So about 8 doctors or 10 doctors, I think, if I remember right, 350 patients per, means almost we had 3,000, 3,500 patients coming up on that particular day. So it was a very huge camp, and that was the biggest camp that I attended. It's in Kerala, Kottayur, Kelagam, it's called.
Okay.
And there was a beautiful Shiva temple nearby where we all went for darshan, and then we started our practice in the morning 6 o'clock, and we ended up in the evening 8:30, finishing the patients. So,
Back to back.
yeah, 6 o'clock onwards. We had a break for lunch, but it was not too big, 5-10 minutes. Mhm. So yeah, it was a very, so that kind of a manpower challenge is what I have faced. Otherwise, people are waiting for consultation. The people who are less privileged would definitely like to have good medical attention. But there are not enough doctors to go and do that service. Now, even if I want to, let us say, I want to handle certain areas where we need to provide medical service, we get take the help of organizations like Rotary or Lions, and then we go ahead. Otherwise, as doctors alone, to get every doctor away from their practice is little difficult, because everybody has their own practice and they have their own set of patients which is coming on a regular basis. So we are trying to form an organization where we can actually have doctors who are committed to this on a monthly basis, at least one day in a month. We take it out for the underprivileged, and we compulsorily go in for this particular thing. The biggest beautiful thing that happened was consulting orphanages. That's the most pleasant experience, because children are very pure and they are very innocent. And so when we go to orphanages, we really get to see what is real life, where they don't have parents and they are suffering in that particular place. So the orphanages take very good care of them, yet the medical facilities are lacking sometimes. And if you see their diseases, you feel really bad for those children. And there's nobody to take care of them, to ask them, like, that maternal love and the paternal love is lacking. So that's, of course, what I observed in some other places. Otherwise, old age homes are also okay. They have people to look after. But kids don't really get that nourishing, which is required, as the parental love is missed out.
So when we talk about ESG and corporate governance, how and when did you develop an interest in ESG and corporate governance?
Now, environmental responsibility, social responsibility, and corporate governance. This is something which I think should be inborn in most of us. Only thing, we don't tap into it. But at certain points in life, you realize that you need to put in yourself into these activities. Seeing patients and making a living or earning enough for yourself or for your staff members for their salaries, that alone is not enough. Your life doesn't feel complete. At certain points in life, I felt that what is the point of this life what is the difference between me, a stone, and a tree? If I just live my life and then go away, tomorrow you will not be remembered. After some time, whatever work you have done is the only thing which may remain. You will definitely have to leave this planet at some point. At that point, when I saw a child, I saw a small video of a child who was eating from a garbage bin. And that actually pained me a lot. I was sleepless for almost 2 nights. It was very emotional moment to see a child having to do that. At that point, I thought that I should do something for the society. And that's when I decided to do something from my end. And we got together as a team and we formed a unit called as Amrita Sparsha Foundation. We made a foundation from our clinic. My team was very much involved in it, and my doctors felt so blessed that we are able to do something for the people who are underprivileged. So giving back to the society is ultimately what we need to do as a human being. And that feeling took me to the world, to the society, and to see that we do something for people who are suffering. We started providing free food packets to the underprivileged, and people used to come to the areas where we distribute and collect the food packets. That was a good blessing to them. And during COVID, more than to them, I think it was a blessing to us, because it opened up our hearts and made us feel more human than ever.
Very much important.
And that's when I came across certain posts in LinkedIn where I saw that in Florida, there is certain points in the ocean where there's a lot of pollution happening. Industrial waste is being poured into the ocean, and there's a green bubble which is seen when you look from the sky. And a lot of these coral reefs which is there in that area is actually dying. People who are born and brought up in that particular area were so attached to those coral reefs would actually feel the pain of it disappearing. Now I can connect with it because in certain places when I go today, I don't get to see dragonflies, butterflies, sparrows, which I used to see so much in my childhood. And I used to be so much involved into nature. And so I feel bad that the present generation is not getting to experience nature the way how we have experienced. Now, my daughter is actually a bit scared of dragonflies. So that's not the case with the children of my time. I'm born in 1973. So since then, I have seen that that generation was totally different. We were more into the physical nature around us. And today it's all a virtual world. Nothing wrong in it. That's what has taken us ahead. Technology is what has taken medicine to this platform where we have so many things which is helping us to reach out to patients. And we have the artificial intelligence, we have big data coming up, and all these things are actually helping us to grow and reach out to more and more patients and help the people. Yes. So, yeah. And then the values that we need to inculcate into the present generation is to care for others and use technology so that we can grow in that direction. I think that's it.
That's really very commendable, I must say, indeed. So our next question is also on the similar lines. Like, as an ESG and corporate governance expert, what values do you bring to the table?
As I said, the value systems that a person need to have is more of a human touch. There's nothing more than that as far as, and when you feel more human, automatically your value systems will be integrated to that. When you say corporate governance, then it's actually you're looking into not only yourself, but also to the people associated with you in the corporate. So into there, lives into their society. Now, for example, I had um, a security guard who was working with me, and around afternoon, suddenly he developed a chest pain, and then he just collapsed in the clinic. So we helped him, rushed him. We sent him in the car along with one of my staff, and then I also went to the hospital. We got him admitted, and we took over his entire medical expense and saw that he gets better, and he came out of it. So that human value, if it is there, then whatever you do in terms of your clinic, I mean your organization, everything falls into place. You need to understand that the more self-centered you are, the more you get smaller and smaller. The more you go out into the world, the more you tend to grow.
Yes. So moving ahead, like when we talk about technology, what are some of the most remarkable changes you have seen in your field with changes in technology? And what changes do you expect to see with the advent of IoT, AI, ML, blockchain, big data, and Web 3.2?
Okay. So technology has been growing, and since the earlier days that I started my practice, where we used to have manual records to note down everything, today we have everything computerized, everything is digitized. We have appointment systems which are digitized. We have reminder messages which is going to the patients. We have even the telephone operating system is also automated, and we have medicine dispensing also getting automated. Recently, I came up with a new concept of a vending machine, which is actually you can say the world's first vending homeopathic medicine machine, where we can even prescribe a medicine, and the patient can actually go to the machine, put his card, and pick up the medicine from that. So it's a vending machine which we came up with. This we started in 2019. During COVID, it was of great help because people were not meeting people, and everybody kept a distance from each other, but they could definitely go to the machines and pick up their medicines.
And this is in Bangalore.
This is in Bangalore.
Achha.
So we started only with one due to some financial constraints, because it costed us almost 5 lakh rupees for making that machine. So
Yeah.
we couldn't afford to place too many machines in different places. But then we are moving towards it. We will have more automation coming up, and more things like that, where you can actually sit in any place in the world and prescribe medicines for any patients, and the patients can go to that particular location and pick up the medicine, which is automated and prepared. So technology is helping us to think in that direction, and at least maybe in future we might even move towards it. It's not too far away. Very soon we will have people coming up with this strategy to dispense medicines. And it is, once it comes, it's like any doctor anywhere in the world can actually connect to these kind of pharmacies, and then prescribe their medicines, and the patients can go to that particular pharmacy and pick it up. So this is a concept which I have discussed by email to our Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Narendra Modi, and they have also recommended it to the Central Council of Homeopathy, and maybe in due course we will have things working in our favor to come up with something like this. Other than this, we have artificial intelligence in its boom right now. Big data is something which is coming up, I mean, which is already there and which is just going up like anything. With the advent of the artificial intelligence, big data, and blockchain, and Web 3, Web 3M, so we are able to actually integrate various platforms and take healthcare in a more reachable way to the people. Now you have robotics coming up, where with the help of robotics, as I told you about this vending machine, we have robotics coming up wherein the preparation and the dispensing of the medicine can be taken up, and that will become a little more easier and little more faster for the patients to reach out to the pharmacies and pick up the medication. So there are techniques like that which we can develop with these technologies. And I think now we have video microscopes, we have skin analyzer. All this is a techniques we have come up with digitization and with technology, advancement of technology. We have come up with all these machines, which is helping us to diagnose better, which is helping us to even prescribe better with the use of artificial intelligence. Very soon, doctors will be able to even diagnose and prescribe medicines, because artificial intelligence is such a big thing that once it is integrated properly, we might get leads from that technique to have more accurate prescriptions and more accurate diagnosis.
So as you know, we are building a community of industry magnates. The move is meant for cross-pollination of knowledge and building a knowledge-sharing community of corporate giants and industry experts. So what are your thoughts about this initiative taken about by Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the whole World Development Corporation team?
Mr. Zishan Pathan, Mr. Heval Mehta, and the World Corporation is doing an excellent job by integrating all these magnets. Like when I was going through this videos of different personalities who are into the field of business and who are into different leadership roles, and when I listen to them, you get so inspired and so motivated by different people who are doing so huge in their field. It's such a inspiration. I would say that there are times in everybody's life where you may feel a little low, whether you will be able to reach what you want to do. Inspiration sometimes comes from these videos and these which you have posted in your website, or so that gives us some ideas and inspiring thoughts so that we can take it ahead and move in the direction that we want to go. Really commendable work by world. Really commendable work by Mr. Zishan Pathan and World Development Corporation and the entire team. I think they're doing a great job by integrating all this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. These have been really kind words by you. So it was fantastic conversing with you, and I'm confident that your insights will inspire future leaders. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mr. Sanjay Panicker. We wish you the best for your future endeavors. Moreover, trust that this initiative by Directors Institute unquestionably has expanded the participants' understanding and enriched their mind.